Hello my astrology friends, this is Lada from AstroladaOfficial and these are your September 2023 video horoscopes. And September we have 3 planets changing directions. What does it mean? Your life will change direction. 3 planets, Venus is turning direct, Jupiter is turning retrograde, Mercury is turning direct, which those 3 planets rule 6 out of the 12 houses, which means 6 areas of everyone's life will shift, will change. With 2 planets turning direct for the better, with 1 retrograde, maybe it will just change, take a different direction. Doesn't have to be negative, just an alternative direction. But 6 areas of your life will be shifting, big changes. I'm very excited. Before I start, I just want to let you know that I've compiled for you around more than 600 transits of transiting planets to natal. It's a written ebook. It's interactive. You can click on the transit you're interested in and it will take you to the text, very extensive text, what each transit means. Or you can watch your transits on my personal transit calendar, which is for free for everyone for the next 4 or 5 days always. But this book is a work of love that I've created over 4 or 5 years. Me and my teacher, we've written all the transits in depth. If you want to own it for a very small amount, it's hundreds of pages. An early bird will get a big discount of 30% on this ebook. So let's start with the horoscopes. Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Oh, Virgo, I think you're the star this month, of course. The Sun is in your sign, Mercury is retrograde in your sign. This is how the month starts. Mercury retrograde already in your sign, and it will be retrograde till the 15th, and it will be invisible till the 15th. So what can be, this will be probably the most important event for you this month. And that's the last time Mercury will be retrograde in your sign. For quite a few years from now on, and maybe a little bit next year for a few days only. But so it's very important time, and especially mercurial things will be happening. And for you, oh, what can I say? For you, Mercury rules also your career, your health, your body. For a little bit, you might feel like you're without direction, or you're more frustrated. You can feel like things are not going according to how you expect. There can be some surprises and shocks here and there, but Mercury is receiving quite a few good aspects. But you know, especially there will be important days like the 6th of September when the Sun conjuncts Mercury, where you can receive some very important piece of news about something that's already happening. It might not be totally new thing. Maybe you can hear from, that can be a very busy day where people are calling you all the time, where you're very interactive, or something important mercurial is happening. But the whole first 15 days, you might be, for example, arranging papers, documents, finishing up some Mercury project that you have to work behind the scenes and you have to redo, or maybe whatever plans you have to be very flexible and adjustable because they might not go according to what your plans are. So the first 15 days is a bit more stressful for you with Mercury retrograde in your sign. But usually if you're a business person or anyone who is in white collar job, which is administrative work, media, marketing, talking, communication, using skills, using any kind of interactions with people, it can be a busy time when you're working, when you are preparing something, when you are maybe having to put extra effort than other times, and maybe having to try different alternative ways. And you have to be, as I said, more flexible because things will be surprising you left and right. And they might be redoing some project. For example, you might be redoing something that you started before and editing it, seeing where it's not working. But definitely the first 15 days will give you the opportunity to see something around yourself, around your career, and about your life from a different perspective, that things can be done in a different way. Sometimes it can be frustrating because we need to adapt very quickly, but you're adaptable sign, Virgos. And sometimes it's frustrating because, okay, we want it to happen one way, but actually there is a better way and things don't work out. So you're being shown to explore that there is a different way. And sometimes also communications from the past come back to be talked about. Something that was unsaid comes to the surface. Something that's been buried comes to the surface. If you're in strong relationships, these things that once set and come to the surface will strengthen your relationship, because you kind of rebalance again, even if it's stressful for a little bit, even you have to readjust somehow the relationship. But if a relationship or contract or agreement or friendship or work relationship or personal one is no longer balanced, and you might decide to end it even. Sometimes, if Mercury retrograde is in your sign, this can be a time when, okay, especially if it's not been going well, that can be the final nail. But all such frustrations go away. And also I would advise you to be careful with passwords, with cards, with credit cards, with information till the 15th, because Mercury is invisible and retrograde. There can be a possibility of some hidden activities in regards to that. Like if you can, don't give your information away till then. Be more cautious with your passwords, your accounts, and so on. And even with your phones and communication devices. But if something has to happen, it will happen. It will show you where your weak spot is with security system, or with, or your weak spot in relationships with others, your weak spot at your website or at your work. But the good news is that from the middle of the month, this drastically changes. Suddenly, as Mercury retrograde invisible, then suddenly Mercury becomes visible at the same time as it turns direct, around the 15th, 16th of September. So whatever complications were before that, or delays, or frustrations, or even sometimes even health problems, because Virgo rules you, Mercury rules you. And when Mercury is burnt, invisible, retrograde, sometimes a person can be under the weather. It all improves from the middle of the month. So even if something happened, that your website was hacked or email, whatever, actually it all gets sorted out and it becomes better than before. If there are some miscommunications or having to work on some project behind the scenes and over delays, they all get sorted out and the result is great. If you worked extra hard to change something, to do it differently during the retrograde period, you end up with much better result and product or whatever you're working on. So if you have to do anything important with communications, with letters, with messaging, with media, with business plans, with presentations, do it on the 17th or after the 15th, because then Mercury is turning direct, and Mercury will be fantastic from the 15th till the 5th, 6th. Let me see when Mercury is visible till the 5th, 6th of October, I think. It's in my transit calendar. I can't in my transit calendar. So now will be a time to shine. From till the middle of the month, prepare behind the scenes, investigate, research. Even if you're a bit confused under the weather, it's okay. Take it slow. You don't have to be a hero. Till the new moon in Virgo, which coincides with Mercury, your planet, becoming visible. So you're no longer burnt, you're no longer retrograde, and a new moon in Virgo happens. So I'd say the most auspicious day and time for Virgos will be after the new moon, from the 17th, when Mercury is visible already and direct, from the 17th till the end of the month, and the first few days of October. Do the most important things for you this year. Actually, some really auspicious things will happen. Something new will be born for you. I promise you something new after the 16th, 17th, after this new moon. New ideas, new lifestyle, new even friends around you. Mercury rules that. New career opportunity can be, because Mercury rules your 10th house. New great idea, new better circumstances. If you want to start a new business, wow. For you, it will be the most powerful. If I could, I have a brother who is Virgo, and on the 15th, 16th, 17th and onwards, the month, I would ask him to do the most important task, so his energy is there, his Virgo energy, because Virgos will be very supported in this period, and some really good things will start happening to them. New opportunities, birth of, even of health routines, of new inspiration that comes to you. And of course, it's your birthday. But again, I advise you, even if it's your birthday, the first part of the month, if ideas come to you, write them down and start them. Do the initial step after the 16th onwards, after the 17th. So we want this new moon to pass, which is on the 15th, and the sliver of the moon to appear. You don't start anything on a dark moon, which is the new moon exactly. So the 17th is like, and onwards. So, and then, so probably that's the event you'll feel the most, but Venus is also turning direct from the beginning of the month in your 12th house, Virgos. If there was something hidden, some secret, some gossip going on, it will start resolving itself. Or if there was some losses financially or too much spending sometimes with Venus retrograde in the 12th house, or you have to, if you had to rethink your budget in some way, all these things get resolved. So if there were some complications or something hidden or unsaid in your relationship, if there was some crisis, because Venus after all is planet of relationships, and 12th house is more hidden, more maybe, maybe more prone to indulgences as well. If there was like overdoing certain things and substances and addiction, sometimes the 12th house. This is the time when it starts getting resolved, and Venus stays in your 12th house the whole month, but in a great state. So that's a great time to travel to abroad holidays if you want. Venus will make sure that anything, if you go abroad, 12th house will be good. It can be a great time to receive messages or to dream erotic dreams, to have more intimacy in the bed. 12th house is bed pleasures, and even just to enjoy. And whatever Venus is, when it's in a good state, like it will be the whole month, when it turns direct, it's where you escape place to relax. And so relaxation, while Mercury is a bit hectic day in the first house, you would have access to relaxation, to meditation, even some private pleasures of some sort and private connections of some sort. And can be a great time, for example, to go to a hotel, the 12th house, luxury hotel, luxury holiday, if you can, to indulge again. But it's not going to be this complicated, stressful spending, which when Venus is retrograde, it will be more like indulging in a more pleasant way. Spa, massages, this is very 12th house. So some course, mystical, learning astrology, reading psychology, healing the subconscious, all those things will come easier to you. Going on a family constellation to heal your whatever, these are all psychological work of the 12th house. Or just sometimes just being zoning out, being lazy with a good book and so on. And as Venus is turning Jupiter is turning retrograde for you. For everyone on the 4th of, so you see how many planets are turning direction. I think there'll be big shifts for you because Mercury, the most important planet, is, it's in your first house. So big shift in the direction of your life, and for the very good around the 17th onwards, 15, 16. Well, Venus turning direct, improvement in this 12th house that we talked about, maybe improvement with sleep and psychological state. And Jupiter turns retrograde. So there is some change in direction, Virgos. And this is happening in your 9th house. In your 9th house. I'm looking at the chart here. So in your 9th house, there can be change of your belief system suddenly. So you see the big planets that are important, like Mercury and Jupiter changing, they in self houses, in the first house and in the 9th house. So you are changing from within this whole month. And it's almost because it's in self houses, you have more free will this month than at other months to initiate changes, to have a say. It's not in houses of others, like relationship houses or whatever. It's houses where the manifesting houses of the higher self that you can decide what to do, and especially powerful from the middle of the month. But Jupiter turning direction in your 9th house, there can be reversal of fortune in this 9th house. For example, if you've been in some legal case that's been going some way, it can turn around for the better or worse. We don't know. Planet is just changing direction. Something is changing. Or your relationship with the father figure or teacher can improve or get worse, turn around. We don't know. Or, for example, you might start rethinking and suddenly have I want to rethink my future. I don't think that's the direction I want to be. This is the ninth house, where you're heading. The ninth house, what is your plan for the future? You might start rethinking that. And Jupiter will be retrograde there for quite a few months, till the end of the year. You might start to pre-qualify, go back to studies. Or you might decide to stop studying and change with a different direction of study. Or you might decide like, oh, I want to go back to studying astrology. You know where to come if you want to do that. Or you might start rethinking, you might start revisiting some old belief systems, maybe some old teachings that you studied. Maybe, I don't know, go back to the Bible, go back to studying, if you studied Western astrology before and you started Vedic, you can go back to studying Western again, you know. Go back to some other source of studies that you've done before, or you haven't completed some studies. You can, Jupiter retrograde there can ask you to complete it. For me, it's always some teaching project in the ninth house. So for you, it might be some, if you're teaching or learning, to pick up some teaching project, to go back to learning, to go back to teaching, to put extra efforts in some teaching or learning process. Because, of course, retrograde planet is much closer to the Earth, so it's more powerful. We feel it more powerfully. But it's kind of, the energy is heavy and more laborious, and we need to do 3 times more efforts. So anything to do with traveling abroad or legalizing some papers might need some extra work. For example, I received my green card when Jupiter was transiting my ninth house from Ascendant. But during the retrograde period, they asked me, of Jupiter in the ninth, they asked me they needed a few more documents. So I'm just giving you an example how it can play out, because ninth house is visas, relocation to foreign places, teaching project. And I was also like, I was doing a very long teaching project that was very laborious. So it doesn't mean bad stuff. Also, some old opportunities can come to you. Old opportunities to study, or old idea that you had, or reconnecting with a teacher, or a figure that inspires you that you haven't been in touch with, reconnecting to their teachings or with themselves, or reconnecting it. This is a very spiritual house, and Jupiter retrograde becomes more introspective, introverted, some prophetic dreams, some prophetic visions. You can hear either through messenger, through a reader, through a psychic, through a random friend, or through your own intuition. You can get illumination on some matters and questions, to see them from a very different perspective. The ninth house is the house of seeing things from a high perspective. Retrograde means to your perspective is changing, and we need changing perspective, because we can never solve problems from the same perspective through which we created them. And on that note, if you can go back to a foreign country, Jupiter retrograde is great. If you've been somewhere before, you can go there again, or complete something, or some old opportunity that you didn't have a chance to complete. So thank you so much, Virgos. What an important month for you. Wow. Life changing for some.